Hi, and welcome to the Eczema Podcast, where you'll learn tips, products, and natural eczema remedies from Abby, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of PrimePhysiqueNutrition.com. Here's your host of the Eczema Podcast, Abby.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Eczema Podcast. Today I have a very special guest on the show today. You may have seen him in a lot of my YouTube videos, and he is Dr. Jason Lee. He's actually my naturopath, and he's my naturopath that helped me during my biggest flare-ups, and he's actually the first naturopath that I've seen that really was able to help me and get to the root of my issue. I remember when I first saw him, my skin was covered from head to toe in really severe eczema. And it took a few sessions after seeing him when he said to me, you know, I can finally start to see what your normal face looks like. And that just shows you how bad my skin was, because it took a few sessions just for him to see what my normal face looked like. But it was life-changing after seeing him, because he really taught me a lot about eating clean and how there's a lot of food sensitivities in our body and what we can do about it. But today's episode is a really great one that I love, because he shares his own personal story of going through eczema in his own life and how he overcame it. I hope that you find this episode as touching as I did. And if you want to find more teachings by Dr. Jason Lee, you can find them on my YouTube channel. I have a lot of videos with him. He is also part of my 8-week group coaching program, so he's made a ton of videos there. And in my 8-week group coaching program, you get access to over 50 different videos from 6 experts. And one of the experts is him. And I just love the videos that he's filmed, because they're so full of knowledge that I haven't heard anywhere else before. So they're great teachings that you may want to check out at conquereczemaacademy.com. Or you can always head to my main website, Prime Physique Nutrition, and you can find my group coaching site from there as well. Also, I just want to let you know that he's one of the reasons that really inspired me to do what I do now. I remember he was saying that if it wasn't for eczema, we wouldn't have become what we've become today. He became a naturopath, I became a nutritionist, and if it wasn't through going through those really hard times of really painful flare-ups, I wouldn't have been inspired to help people and to start coaching people for their skin flare-ups. I wouldn't have created my Conquer Eczema Balm, my Conquer Bath Treatment, and eczema gloves as well, all of which you can find in my store to help with your skin. And he just really has helped me a lot on my journey, and I hope that today this talk can really inspire you as well. And I hope that your skin is doing well, and if it's not, just remember that you can get through this. And there's a lot of information on my website, but also out there as well. And I hope that it can help you to overcome what you're going through. And remember, don't give up hope, because you can get through this. And without further ado, here is a quick announcement before we get into the interview. For over a decade, I was plagued by extremely severe eczema. And during that time, I tried more healing products than I can remember. As my eczema began to heal, I set out to create the Conqueror Soothing Dry Skin Balm. No harsh preservatives or ingredients are needed to prevent bacteria from developing, making it safe, gentle, and 100% natural.
Visit the store page on PrimePhysiqueNutrition.com to learn more about it.
And now we're back. Dr. Jason, I know you became a naturopath for a very special reason. And I know when I was going through my flare-up, you really encouraged me, because you said, you know, there was a purpose in going through all this. And we wouldn't be where we are now if it wasn't for what we went through. And so I know you briefly touched upon your story before, but I think a lot of viewers and readers would also like to hear more about your story and how you got to where you are. And I think it would really encourage them as well.
Sure. I mean, my story began like a lot of people that went to certain natural health fields. I myself suffered with a health condition. I was born in the 70s, 1977. And at the time, I mean, my mother came here from Asia, and I mean, she didn't fully understand the concept of breastfeeding. In the 70s, I mean, they didn't even think breastfeeding was that important. It was one of those things where medically they're like, why even bother breastfeed your child? Because we have formula, and formula is far superior anyway because it has all the nutrients formulated in it, and there's no point even breastfeeding. So my mom had difficulty breastfeeding me, and I think the doctor was like, well, why even bother? Just take the formula. So she did, and I broke out in eczema. But of course that wasn't linked to the formula from the medical standpoint, and maybe they didn't understand the link anyway, because eczema is a skin condition and you're not throwing formula in the skin, it's going into the gut. So my mom didn't really know what to do, and then they started me on steroid therapy right away. And back in the 70s, I mean, steroid therapy was much stronger than it is now, and they didn't have the warning labels on it like they do now. So doctors were like, yeah, just put it on and put it on forever. And it's interesting because even now, and if you look in the Merck manual or do any study of eczema from a dermatological perspective and a medical perspective, they view eczema as a condition of unknown origin, which means it has no actual origin, they don't know where it comes from, and no actual cure, except through steroid suppression. So their treatment still to this day, as it was back in the 70s, is exactly the same, that is covered with steroids. So I was on steroids heavily right from a very early age. And my eczema was horrible. I mean, it covered my face, it covered my body. I think the only part I didn't really have it was the sole of my foot and the palm of one hand for some reason. This hand, I don't really know why. This hand was covered in eczema, this palm was not. I didn't have a lot of hair, because where the eczema came up, the hair fell out. I didn't have any eyebrows either, which makes you look almost permanently surprised all the time, which is kind of interesting. But I had that, and it was odd because I remember looking at other kids and thinking, there's no other kid on this planet that seems to have this condition. And of course my mom took me to many doctors, and most doctors looked at me and were like amazed at how horrible the skin was, and they just prescribed different creams of different strengths, and of course we tried those creams, and sometimes they would get better and a lot of the time not. Growing up was challenging that way because I couldn't engage with my friends, the few friends that I did have, because most people were scared of me. They thought I had some contagious disease. I guess when you're young, I mean, eczema is basically the manifestation of a condition that many children can diagnose, and that's called cooties. So I had cooties, of course, the worst kind of cooties. So it was it was frustrating for me. I spent a lot of time hanging out alone because, I mean, I couldn't play sports, I couldn't sweat because sweating made me itchy, I couldn't swim because swimming made me itchy, I couldn't go in the sun because that made me itchy. And it was really frustrating for me. I mean, I've gone to so many doctors and had so many creams, and I think, you know, by the time I was about 7 or 8, I remember actually, I asked one of the doctors I was with, I said, you know, why do I have eczema? I asked him, I said, where does it come from? I need to know. And the doctor, I mean, I think he was trying his absolute best to help me. I really do believe that. And he sat down in front of me. He could tell I was very upset, and he said, you know, Jason, we don't really know where it comes from. Sometimes it's just bad luck. And I don't think he meant that in a bad way. He truly believed that there's no real understanding of it, and it really was bad luck, which of course infuriated me. I wasn't mad at him, I was just more mad at everything. I was mad at God, I was mad at everything. I was like, why did you give this to me? I mean, no other kid seems to have it. I mean, why me? Like, did I do something wrong? Like, is it, you know, bad luck? I couldn't understand that. And then I got kind of angry. I spent, I would say, a large part of my childhood relatively pissed off. I was mad because I couldn't do a lot of things that other kids could do. And that lasted for a while. Like, I mean, I would wait for my friends to come home from school, and then I'd go over and play with them. But if they wanted to go out and play sports, I'd have to go home because I just couldn't play with them. Or if they were in the pool, I'd just sit by the side of the pool and watch them. And it was just, it was really tough. So as I got a bit older, I decided, you know what, I'm going to have to figure this out myself. So I was begging my mom for, like, you know, there must be someone that can help me, some doctor. My mom was searching frantically as well. She was searching and searching and searching, looking for people, taking me to many kinds of doctors and specialists. And one day I think my mom just broke down and lost it at work. And I think her boss came across my mom and asked my mom what was wrong. My mom was like, oh, my son has this condition, no one can figure it out. And I think my mom felt tremendous guilt for me having it. I don't think she understood why, and I think she felt badly for it. I mean, I was covered in blood every day. I slept in plastic sheets because I couldn't really sleep in regular sheets because, of course, you get dirty. Plastic's a lot easier to clean. And it's itchy at night, and it just kept my mom up. I was not happy. My mom wasn't happy. And I think my mom's boss said, you know what, I have a contact in the States, a great doctor that can help. He's the best dermatologist and whatever. And my mom was so excited, so they called and they got an appointment with the doctor, but it was in like a year. So my mom circled it on the calendar saying, you know, this is the day you're going to get healed. We're going to go see this doctor. He's going to help you out. And I was all excited. And we literally counted down the days until we went to see this doctor. So we went down to the States. It was a big deal for my parents to leave Canada because I think once they arrived, they never wanted to leave. So we went down to the States, and we were supposed to spend some time touring around after. But we went to see the doctor. We went in. The doctor came into the office and he said, let me see your skin. And I took off my sweatshirt and it was covered in skin lesions. And he looked at my skin and he said, you have a really bad case of eczema. And I was like, yes, this is really bad. Can you help? He said, yes, we have a cream that can help with that. And he wrote this prescription for this cream and gave it to my mom and said, you can fill it in this pharmacy downstairs and call it a day. And that was basically it. The visit, I think, lasted no more than 10 minutes. And we waited in the waiting room for about 30 minutes. My mom got this prescription like it was the holy grail, basically. We went down and bought this cream. I think at the time it was a couple $100. It was very expensive, but my mom was desperate, so she paid for it. This is back in the 80s. And we went back to the hotel, and my mom started to put the cream on. She's like, we're gonna put this cream on, it's gonna fix your skin and everything's gonna be better. And I thought, this is fantastic. I waited my whole life for this. So they put the cream on and it started to tingle a little bit. And I'm like, it's tingling. And my mom's like, it must be working. And the tingling became more and more intense and eventually became burning. And then the burn became more and more intense as well. The cream actually was a steroid, but it had some sort of uric acid in it for some reason. They put that in there. So it became very, very inflamed. Then it got to the point where I was really scraping at my skin. I told my mom, I said, we have to get this cream off. And my dad's like, you're not getting that cream off. We paid $200 for that cream. It's not coming off. You're going to keep it on until you're healed. And I just started crying. My mom was upset. My dad got so frustrated. I remember he grabbed me and put me in the shower and just turned the water on. He came outside and got all upset with my mom about wasting his time and this and that. And then he left to go for a walk because he had to blow off some steam. And I remember sitting there in the shower. I could see the mirror and I could see my mom sitting in the bed in the hotel room, and she just sat down in the bed and started crying. And I felt so bad. I was so upset by that. I'm like, nobody can help. There's nobody out there that can actually help this skin issue. My dad eventually came back and he's like, we're leaving. And we left. And the whole way home, my mom was just crying in the car. And I just sat in the back seat thinking, I'm probably the worst kid on the planet because I ruined my mom's life. I ruined my life. And no one can fix this horrible condition that apparently I got because of bad luck. So that's when I made a decision, like, I got to figure this thing out myself. I got to figure it out. So I did what every kid does. Where is all the knowledge in this world? It's in the public library. So I rode my bike to the Oakville Public Library and I went in and I just started looking through the card catalog for any kind of, it's back in the day, the card catalog, looking for any book on health I could find. And there were some books on, bones and the skeleton and the heart, and a couple books on health, but there's not a lot of health and wellness books back in the 80s. They had very few. But there was a section that had some stuff on anatomy and health, so I thought I'd go check that out. So I walked through that area, and there was a book that was coming out a little bit. The spine was coming out, and I looked at it, and on the side of the book it said, "You Can Master Disease" by Dr. Bernard Jensen. And I thought, you can master disease? That's a really interesting topic because I have a disease. So I pulled the book out, and it's from the 1940s or 1950s, I think. And I opened the book up, and it was called "You Can Master Disease." And there's a picture of Dr. Bernard Jensen, who's a chiropractor that practiced in the States back in the day. And there's a picture of him standing next to a man covered in skin lesions. And then another picture on the other side of the page of him standing next to the same man, and that man was apparently cured of his skin issues. And I was like, this is crazy. This guy has what I have, and it's gone. So I read the book. And the book talked about a lot of things. It talked about nutrition. It talked about colonics, like colon cleansing, which I thought was very odd. Being a kid, reading like, that's very strange. He talked about sauna therapies and different kinds of natural type therapy. I've never seen anything like this before. He talked about how eating has an effect on your diet and how it affects your skin and how it affects your body and why we need to. He even talked about yoga in there. I didn't even know what yoga was. I'm like, what is yoga? Like I read about that. It was very peculiar. And I took the book and I showed my mom. I said, Mom, I need to see a doctor like Dr. Jensen. I need to see Dr. Jensen. I said, I need to see this man. I don't know where he is, but I need to see it. And my mom was like, we don't know where this person is. I mean, we can't go to the States anymore. We're out of options. Like we have nowhere to go. So I had that in the back of my mind. Like I need to see someone like him. I had no way of doing any more research, but I just thought he had the cure somehow. As I got older, I started volunteering at I wanted to go into healthcare for whatever reason. I was still covered in eczema, but I thought I wanted to help people. So I went to work with a chiropractor. Actually, one of my next door neighbors said, you should go see my chiropractor. He's a good man, and I think he can give you some good advice. So I went to see him, and I asked him if he needed someone to help him on a volunteer basis. So I did. I volunteered with him for about a good year. And one day he came to me and said, I think there's somebody that can help you, and she's a naturopath. And I'm like, naturopath, what is that? And he says, well, she does stuff with diet and stuff with eating and things like that. And I thought, is she like Dr. Jensen? And because Dr. Jensen was a chiropractor, so I thought chiropractors did that. And he said, well, I'm not too sure, but I know she's in Oakville. You should go see her. So for my birthday, I asked my mom, I said, I would like to see this person, this naturopath. And my mom said, are you sure? Like, we've been to so many people. Like, I think my mom had given up at this point in time. And I said, I really want to see this person. I think she can help. So my mom said, okay. So we went to see her. And I remember I walked into her office, and I walked in covered in my hoodie like I normally did, and I was covered in skin lesions. And I sat down, and she looked at me, and she said something that I'll never forget. She said, like, she told me to take off my hoodie, and I did. And she looked at my skin. She said, yeah, this is very, very bad. I said, I know. Can you help me? And she said something I'll never forget. She said, you don't have a skin condition, right? And I looked at her like this woman was crazy. I'm like, I can't believe it. I'm like, I don't have a skin condition? She said, yes, you don't have a skin condition. It has nothing to do with your skin. It's in here. And she pointed to my belly button. And I'm like, my skin problem's inside my belly button? And she said, no, it's not in your belly button. It's in your gut. It's in your digestion. And I said, but I go to the bathroom every day. I'm fine. I don't have problems. She said, you do, and it comes out through your skin. And I thought, this is the craziest thing I ever heard of. I've been to like 100 doctors, and not one doctor ever mentioned that. And I thought about it, and I said to her, I said, I will drink pee and eat sawdust, so that's going to make this skin problem go away. I was that desperate. I would have eaten dirt if she asked me to eat dirt. And she said, well, you don't have to do that, but I'm going to give you some things to do, and I want you to try it out for me. And I did. I took some of the supplements she gave, and I followed her diet, which I didn't particularly like, but I didn't care. It was better than eating dirt, so I did that. And my skin actually got worse. It got worse. And she told me it was going to get worse because I was going off my steroid cream. And I got worse and worse and worse and got more itchy, and my dad was like, we have to stop this. This is not working. This is making it worse. But the doctor said it would get worse. She said it'd probably get worse, but just try it out for me. And I was like, you know what? I have no other options. This woman is the only option I have, so we're going to do it. And I pulled through, and after about a month and a half, it stopped. Itching is bad, and it started to get a little bit better. And it got better, and every day it got a little bit better. And I remember one time I went to take a shower, and normally after a shower I have to come out and pat dry and put cream on immediately. Like if I didn't put cream on immediately, it would just dry out and everything would go crazy with the itching. And I got out of the shower and I dried myself off, and I didn't have to put on cream right away. I just put on cream in a few areas and that was it. And I thought, this is amazing. I woke up in the morning and there was no blood on the sheets because I didn't itch that night. And I thought, this is crazy. And after about 6 months, I would say I was probably about 50% better. After about a year, I was 80% better. I just had a bit on my hands and a bit on my neck and a couple small pieces, but I didn't care. I was like, as far as I was concerned, I was healed. And then that last little 20% took about another 6 months or so to heal. And that was a powerful lesson to me, like realizing that the skin issue actually had nothing to do with the skin at all. Because she never gave me a cream. That's the thing, she never gave me a cream. I had boxes of steroid creams. I had like shoe boxes of steroid creams. I got a steroid library, a museum of steroid creams. This woman did not give me a single cream. It was all through internal working. And that's when I made a decision that I would do naturopathic medicine. So I heard about the school and I knew that's what I wanted. There was no question. There was naturopathic medicine or bust. There's nothing else. There's no other option. So I went through university, I had my master's at university, and applied to the Naturopathic College and got in, and the rest is history. So, I mean, you asked the question at the beginning, everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that having eczema or getting eczema was actually the best possible thing that could have ever happened to me. I look back at my life and I do not regret getting it one bit because it has allowed me to get an in-depth understanding of the condition in a way that no one really can unless you have it. I have a lot of colleagues that are naturopaths that have their own health journeys and they've become specialists in their field because of their issues that they've had, and they don't regret their issues either. And I truly believe that philosophy from the I Ching, that everything happens to us for our maximum benefit. And I truly believe that eczema happens to people not to ruin their life or cause them pain or suffering, because it does initially, but it does to teach people how to live better, how to do the right things, and how to learn and be more compassionate maybe to other people as well. So, I mean, I don't regret getting eczema, and I don't regret becoming a naturopathic doctor. That's been fantastic as well. So, hopefully that answers your question in the longest way possible.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Eczema Podcast, and stay tuned for our next episode. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass it along to your friends and colleagues. Visit primephysiquenutrition.com for more articles and tips. Thanks for listening.